Я видел это. Я смотрел отснятый материал собственными глазами. Существо, несомненно живое, ползает по поверхности Венеры.
Looking into the haze of Venus, experts have found traces of phosphine, a possible indicator of life.
Okay, let's go there, Capcom on the hot fire. Okay, all flight controllers going around the horn and going up.
Venus is also bombarded by intense solar radiation as it lacks a protective magnetic field. Without this shielding, harmful radiation from the sun permeates the planet's surface. As a matter of fact, it's common knowledge that no life can survive on Venus considering its extreme condition. But is that really so?
Это то, о чем я никогда раньше не говорил публично. То, что мы засняли на Венере, я видел это. Я смотрел отснятый материал собственными глазами. Существо, несомненно живое, ползает по поверхности Венеры. Это реальность. Я унесу эту тайну с собой в могилу, если понадобится. Но кто-то должен знать правду.
In the 1970s, the Soviet Union achieved what many thought was impossible. They not only landed probes on Venus, but also returned astonishing images of its surface. The mission was named Venera Program, and it was believed to be motivated by the failure of the Soviet Mars missions, as well as NASA's focus on the Red Planet with the Viking landers in 1975. Instead of competing with the Americans, the Soviets shifted their gaze to Venus, embarking on a journey that would rewrite the history of space exploration. The Venera program officially began on February 12, 1961, with the launch of Venera 1, which unfortunately didn't make it to Venus. However, it set the stage for future successes. 4.5 years later, the second mission, Venera 2, achieved the first Soviet flyby of the planet. Subsequent missions, Venera 3 through 8, carried atmospheric probes designed to collect data as they descended through Venus's thick atmosphere, with some even reaching the surface. The breakthrough came with Venera 9, the first mission equipped with a camera. The Soviets designed a revolutionary lander, having gathered data learned from earlier missions. The spacecraft had a cylindrical structure housing instruments, mounted on top of an engine surrounded by a flared air brake. Fortunately, the Soviets didn't have to worry much about the landing force of the spacecraft, thanks to Venus's dense atmosphere. They only needed absorbers to cushion the landing. Cameras were technically placed on the lander, providing a limited but incredible view of the Venusian surface. Venera 9 touched down on October 22, 1975. Despite a minor setback with one of the lens caps, the mission delivered a stunning 180-degree panorama of Venus's surface. Just 3 days later, Venera 10 followed with similar success. While Venera 11 and 12 failed to return images, Venera 13 and 14 made history in 1982 by capturing the first color photographs of Venus's surface. The program concluded with Venera 15 and 16, which conducted orbital missions. After this mission was concluded, nobody supposedly conducted a deep examination of the resulting images enough to come up with reasonable deductions. However, this was about to change. In 2012, Russian astronomer and physicist Leonid Ksanfomality made a contentious claim about the potential discovery of life on Venus. He revisited data and images captured by the Soviet Union's Venera space probes during the 1970s and 1980s, particularly focusing on photographs taken by the Venera 13 lander in 1982. According to Ksanfomality, these images showed evidence of dynamic objects and anomalies on Venus's surface. The Venera 13 mission, which was a groundbreaking achievement, successfully transmitted data and images from Venus's surface for about 127 minutes before succumbing to the planet's extreme conditions. The probe captured images of Venus's rocky terrain, expanding human knowledge about the planet's hostile environment. One of the anomalies Ksanfomality observed was the change in position of an object he described as a disk. In the sequential images captured during the Venera mission, a striking and mysterious element emerged. A round disk with a regular, circular shape, distinctly separate from any part of the lander. This object, shown in the video, is partly obscured by the upper boundary of the image, with only its lower section visible. Measuring approximately 0.34 meters in diameter, the disk appears to rest on the planet's surface. Notably, no components of the lander match this shape, ruling out the possibility of detachment from the spacecraft. But what seems to be the most thought-provoking of his analysis was the discovery of what he described as a scorpion-like object that appeared to move or change position in sequential images. Sequential images of the Scorpion. In the first image, taken at 7 minutes, a shallow oblong groove is visible on the displaced soil. By the second image, captured at 20 minutes, the groove's sides appear raised, and its length extends to about 150 millimeters. Interestingly, the groove aligns with the orientation of the structure nicknamed the Scorpion. In the 59-minute image, a portion of the Scorpion's regular structure becomes visible. By the 93rd minute, the Scorpion seems to have fully emerged from the surrounding soil, which likely covered it with a layer. This suggests that the process of freeing itself from the soil took roughly 1.5 hours, potentially hinting at the object's limited physical capabilities. However, by the 119-minute mark, the Scorpion is no longer visible. An alternative explanation for the object's movement could also be the potential influence of wind on its displacement. This analysis and claims gained traction amongst netizens. While some believed it and commended the efforts of the Venera program, others believed they were just making things up. But there was more. Decades after the mission had been concluded, a supposedly declassified footage leaked by Leonid Xanfomaliti that has the potential of changing the entire history of Venus exploration mysteriously appeared. It's indeed shocking and unbelievable. The footage was believed to be caught on one of the Venera missions, and it indeed showed a scorpion-like creature moving on the shrouded, unforgiving, and crushing planet of Venus. But what's even more insane was the supposedly classified information contained in the voice recording that was leaked with the footage.
Это то, о чем я никогда раньше не говорил публично. То, что мы засняли на Венере во время миссии Венеры, это было больше, гораздо больше. Изображение, которое увидела публика, это было только начало. Но засекреченное оборудование, высокоскоростная видеокамера, прикрепленная к зонду, она записала нечто поразительное. Я видел это. Я смотрел отснятый материал собственными глазами. Существо, несомненно живое, ползает по поверхности Венеры. Оно выглядело как краб или скорпион, двигаясь медленно, целенаправленно. Оно меняло свое положение, возможно, реагируя на присутствие зонда. Это не артефакт и не какая-то ошибка оборудования. Движение было органическим, преднамеренным, но эти кадры были засекречены властями. Они сказали, что человечество не готово принять эту правду. Возможно, они правы, но я говорю вам сейчас, это реальность. Я унесу эту тайну с собой в могилу, если понадобится, но кто-то должен знать правду. Если это когда-нибудь станет достоянием общественности, если люди когда-нибудь увидят эту запись, они поймут, что мы не одиноки во Вселенной. И Венера, место столь негостеприимное, может содержать жизнь, инопланетную жизнь. Что еще может существовать за пределами нашего понимания?
These claims indeed raised a lot of questions. Could this indeed be Dr. Xanfomaliti, and could he be telling the truth? Is there really alien life on Venus? Is the planet indeed capable of harboring life? Then what other secrets are kept from us? While nobody has the answers to these questions yet, there is even a bigger question. Is this footage even real? I mean, with the level of people's creativity with powerful video editing software and the advancement of AI, one would not be wrong to think the video is not real. But of course, we did our due diligence. According to the video's analysis from OpenAI's advanced AI model language, ChatGPT, the footage doesn't seem edited, and it provided strong evidence as to why. Firstly, the visual consistency throughout the frames might be an indication that the footage is genuine. The color histograms show a natural distribution of pixel values across blue, green, and red channels, with no indications of tampering, such as abrupt color shifts or anomalies. Also, brightness levels remain stable across all frames, indicating consistent lighting, which is characteristic of an environment with diffused illumination, such as Venus's dense, cloud-covered atmosphere. Furthermore, the surface details like rocks and terrain appear aligned with the known scientific understanding of Venus's surface, with no evident patterns or textures suggesting digital manipulation. Shadows and reflections also seem accurate and consistent with the assumed light source, avoiding any obvious signs of fabrication, such as mismatched or impossible shadow angles. And these are the reasons we can conclude this video has a very high chance of being real. But, of course, we'd love to know what you think about the footage, so do drop your thoughts in the comments. However, as you would expect, making such a controversial claim is bound to face criticism from the scientific community. The Venera 13 images were taken under extreme environmental conditions, with low resolution judging by today's standards. This serves as one primary challenge to the claim. Many scientists argue that the anomalies described could be explained by imaging artifacts, dust, or distortions caused by the harsh environment. Other astrophysicists also believe that the apparent movement of objects in the images could also be attributed to environmental factors, such as Venus's strong winds, or to noise in the data, rather than genuine biological activity. Also, internet users also have quite a lot to say about the video. Some took it as a total joke. Others were concerned about the extreme conditions under which this could have been filmed. While his interpretation of the Venera 13 images is not widely accepted, it has encouraged a renewed focus on Venus as a target for exploration. And in about time, this happened in 2020.
Now, next on Outside Source, we're going to learn how a global team of astronomers have announced they found what could be evidence of life elsewhere, and not on Mars, but on the much more inhospitable Venus. Here's one of the team.
So what we think we found is phosphine gas in the atmosphere of Venus.
The detection of phosphine gas in the atmosphere of Venus has caused a wave of scientific curiosity, as it could hint at the possibility of life existing on the planet, just as Xan Fomalidi asserted. Phosphine gas, with the chemical formula PH3, is a chemical compound made up of one phosphorus atom and 3 hydrogen atoms. On Earth, phosphine is primarily associated with biological processes, particularly those involving anaerobic microorganisms, that is, organisms that thrive in environments devoid of oxygen. Its presence in Venus's atmosphere raises questions about whether similar microbial life forms could exist there. In 2020, scientists identified phosphine in the middle layers of Venus's atmosphere, around 50 to 60 kilometers above the planet's surface. Using advanced telescopes like the James Clerk Maxwell Telescope and the Atacama Large Millimeter, researchers detected concentrations of phosphine at about 20 parts per billion. This discovery was unexpected, as Venus is known for its extreme environment. The significance of phosphine lies in its limited known production pathways. On Earth, it is either produced industrially or as a byproduct of biological activity, particularly by microbes in oxygen-free environments. Venus's harsh conditions make industrial production unlikely, and natural non-biological processes, such as lightning, volcanic eruptions, or meteorite impacts, do not adequately explain the observed levels of phosphine. This has led scientists to hypothesize that microbial life might exist in Venus's temperate upper cloud layers, where conditions are relatively more hospitable. The cloud layers 50 to 60 kilometers above Venus's surface have temperatures ranging from 30 degrees C to 70 degrees C, and pressures similar to those on Earth. These layers are considered a potential habitat for life, despite the high concentration of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere. If microbes are present, They might have evolved unique biochemistry to survive the planet's acidity, producing phosphine as a metabolic byproduct. This idea aligns with observations on Earth, where certain anaerobic bacteria produce phosphine in similarly extreme environments, such as wetlands and the guts of animals. However, what makes this claim even more convincing is the discovery of yet another biologically produced gas, ammonia. Ammonia was tentatively detected on Venus in 1978 by the Pioneer Venus mission conducted by NASA. The spacecraft's atmospheric probe included instruments that detected chemical signatures suggesting the possible presence of ammonia in Venus's clouds. In recent years, interest in ammonia on Venus has been rekindled due to its potential role in atmospheric chemistry and as a possible biosignature. Studies in the 2020s have theorized that ammonia could explain some of the unexplained chemical phenomena in Venus's highly acidic atmosphere. Ammonia is a compound of nitrogen and hydrogen that is often linked to biological activity on Earth. Its presence in the harsh and acidic atmosphere of Venus is particularly interesting because it is not easily produced by known abiotic processes in such extreme conditions. This discovery raises questions about whether ammonia might be a biosignature or the result of unknown chemical or geological processes on Venus. Studies conducted by astronomers and space scientists recently have reported traces of ammonia in Venus's upper atmosphere, approximately 50 to 60 kilometers above the surface, which is often referred to as a habitable zone, owing to its similarities with Earth's condition. However, it is still highly acidic, dominated by sulfuric acid clouds. The detection of ammonia in such an environment is unusual and suggests that it must have a continuous source, as ammonia is highly reactive and does not persist for long under these conditions. One of the most compelling explanations for the presence of ammonia is the possibility of biological activity. On Earth, ammonia is produced by certain microorganisms, including those involved in nitrogen fixation and other metabolic processes. If similar microorganisms exist in Venus's cloud layers, they might produce ammonia as a byproduct of their metabolism.